Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got another Starfield review for you. I have recently beaten the game and man do I have a lot of feelings and thoughts about it, so I wanted to make a video just dedicated purely to that. Also, this is your spoiler warning. I'm talking about everything in this video, so if you haven't beaten it, definitely stop watching now, go finish it. This video will still be here when you're done. I absolutely love Starfield's main campaign. This story features all of the mystery, thrills, actions, and heartbreak that I was looking for, and I think it will stay with me for the rest of my life. That being said, I don't necessarily think it was perfect, so let's get into it. I have mixed feelings about the opening section of the game, because on one hand, I think it does a really good job of getting players into space and onto their adventure, but I do think it feels a little too rushed with how quickly Barrett just gives you his ship. It feels a little unnatural, and kinda took me out of the moment if I'm being honest. I feel like something else needed to happen here. Maybe you and Barrett have to go find something else on the planet, or maybe somebody gets kidnapped by pirates and you have to go save them. Just something to let this sequence breathe a little bit. I also really liked the pirate raid at the beginning. I wanted to do a pirate hunting run, and so this just fit in perfectly with what I was wanting to do. But I don't think it is as iconic as Skyrim's dragon attack, which I think a lot of people were expecting something as big. Overall though, I think this is a solid introduction to the game and the story. I was incredibly invested with what the artifacts were and what I would discover along the way. The members of Constellation are amazing. Bethesda really went hard on this main set of characters, and I love it. Each member feels like they are real people with their own unique pasts, opinions, and skills. Every member feels vital to the team, and I grew to really care about each of them. That being said, Vasco is the best, and I will not be taking criticism. The hunt for the artifacts is the one section of the game that I have really mixed feelings about. Because honestly, if we're really looking at it, it is just a bunch of glorified fetch quests. And I'm a strong believer that fetch quests are some of the worst quests in gaming. But on the other hand, it rarely ever felt like a fetch quest. Bethesda made them so fun to go find. Some of my favorite ones were the one with Walter, the Collector, and the NASA ruins on Earth. Walter was my least favorite member of Constellation before this, and then getting to go on this quest with him really changed my opinion. Especially getting to see him interact with his wife. It seems like they really loved each other. And then getting to explore this NASA facility and discover what really happened to Earth was so cool. As I'm recording this, I just remembered the one in the facility where you have to travel through 2 different dimensions to actually collect the artifact. That was amazing. It was unique and just so fun. But on the other hand, a lot of them were just go to this location, fight some guys, and then mine the artifact, which did kind of feel repetitive every once in a while, but even that was still fun. Just not as memorable. I don't know. I wish every artifact had a detailed quest attached to it, but maybe that's too much to ask for. The powers are amazing, and I absolutely love them. I got the anti-gravity field first. I'm not really sure if everyone gets them in the same order, if I'm being honest. And it was by far my favorite. I did like all the other powers, but this one just put the game on easy mode. Unlike the artifacts, where there was a lot of variety in the quest to receive them, it's pretty much exactly the same process of collecting the powers. Talk to Vlad, go to a planet, find a temple, fly through some lights, get the power. Later in the game, it does add a Starborn you have to fight at the end, but that doesn't really add much. So, a couple things. I think the game needed to be a little more clear on what you need to do when you're actually like flying through the lights, because I was so confused the first time I did it. I just kept flying through them, and honestly, I thought I'd broken the game. I swear I'm doing the wrong thing here. And I know some other people have had the same issue, so just clarifying that, I think, would help a lot of players. Then, I really think we need some variety. Like, there's 25 to 30 of these bad boys, and having to do the exact same thing every time gets kind of repetitive. I really hope Bethesda updates this in the future. These temples would be a great place for like a dungeon and some boss fights. The moment I encountered the Starborn for the first time was so cool. I was hoping for some sort of alien contact, but I figured if it did happen, it would be at the end of the game and would set up future DLC or the sequel. But man, was I wrong, and man, am I so happy I was. When the emissary grab jumped into the system I was in and demanded I stop looking for the artifacts, I lost it. I was just so hyped. And then to have none of the members of Constellation agree on what the Starborn were also added to the mystery. I loved hearing them discuss whether they were aliens, humans, or some sort of divine being. It really added to the mystery that I think Starfield really excels at. Oh, and that moment I first fought some of them was so nerve-wracking, saying I didn't know what they were or what they could do. Oh, and then realizing that the powers I was using were the same ones that they were using was super eye-opening and confusing at the same time. Overall, I think they implemented the Starborn perfectly. Next, I want to talk about the Hunter. In my notes, I wrote this section as a choice, a chase, and a loss. This quest was one of the most exciting, nerve-wracking, and heartbreaking quests I've ever played. My heart dropped when I realized I had to make a choice between defending the lodge and going to check on the people in the eye. It was a really hard choice, but in the end, I decided to defend the lodge. At first, I was just thinking, oh, I should protect the artifacts because that's the whole point of this game. But then, as soon as the Hunter attacked the lodge, I realized, oh, if I hadn't have stayed, the people here would have been in severe danger. And then, what followed was one of the coolest quests I've ever had. As the Hunter attacked the lodge, and then we had to escape through the wells to get to my spaceship. Running for my life while fighting the Hunter, seeing him attack civilians, and UC guards running in to try and stop him was just such a memorable moment. And then to get to the eye and realize that I was too late, and that Sam had died was devastating. I teared up watching his daughter Cora mourn for her father. I'm sure that watching any of the other Constellation members die was hard and would hurt, but I don't think any of them would have affected me personally as much as Sam's death did. Just knowing that Cora would have to grow up without her father really hurt, and knowing that if I would have chosen to go to the eye, she wouldn't have to go through that really weighed on my conscience. I just love the ability that video games has to make us feel so strongly. My only real complaint with this section of the game is that the UC's capital world got attacked, and there was no repercussions for that. I was expecting the UC to declare war on the Starborn, but nope, there was nothing, and that was kind of a letdown. The next time I went to the city, there were some fires burning, and people were talking about the attack, but that was really it. I just really thought there would be more to that. But overall, this section of the game was amazing. Then we have the funeral. Following the tragic events of the Hunter's attack, players are then given the opportunity to go to the funeral of the character they lost. And by far, this moment is one of the best that Starfield has to offer. It's no big flashy space battle or satisfying puzzle to solve. It is somber, sad, and also beautiful. Bethesda really let this scene breathe. Multiple characters come forward to offer words of comfort, each bringing a different perspective for what they think happens after death, but also each just as hauntingly beautiful as the last. For me, like I said, I lost Sam. And so his father, his daughter, and his ex, Cora's mother, all came. And having to face Cora again at the funeral was just as heartbreaking as it was on the Eye. This is one of my favorite moments from this game, and I think it is an amazing example of why video games make for the best storytelling medium. To a happier note, oh my gosh, it's a multiverse! I was not expecting it. If I'm being honest, I really liked the theory that Sam had, that the Starborn were human, but I just expected them to be a group of scientists that left Earth early and were a few decades ahead of the rest of humanity in terms of technology. I was not expecting them to be humans from another universe. I really like how they handled the multiverse. I think this genre has been oversaturated, if I'm being honest, and poor Bethesda probably didn't know 8 years ago when they started the game that it would be like this. But I think the fact that it's such a hard task to gain access to Unity and travel to another universe, I don't know, it just feels fresh and unique. On top of that, realizing that for me, the emissary was Sam made my jaw drop.
So, I gotta say, this part is more awkward than I thought.
What the frick?
Hiding my face was way easier.
What the frick? I was so excited and yet at the same time saddened to see him. On the other hand, finding out that the hunter was Keeper Achilles was kind of anticlimactic. I feel like it would have been better if it was another member of Constellation, or even another version of you. But while I do think it is kind of anticlimactic, I do totally see Keeper Achilles as somebody who would enter Unity, so I don't hate it. I also really loved that the hunter and the emissary both presented their theologies, or what they think should be done with the Unity, who they think should be allowed to go. And I love that we are allowed to make that choice for ourselves on who we want to side with. Then it all comes down to your final fight against the Starborn. For me, I fought against the hunter. I think I agree more with his plan to let anyone enter Unity, but he killed Sam, and for that, I just had to side with the emissary. This final fight was magnificent. Fighting through waves of Starborn, mercs, and robots, traveling to different universes, and talking with other people we met throughout the story, and then finally facing off against the hunter, I think made for the perfect climax for this story. It was intense, but also incredibly fun. And finally being able to defeat the hunter and avenge Sam was so satisfying. And then all the fighting ends. Your journey to find all the artifacts is over, and you're given one more choice. Unity was such an incredible sequence. Seeing all the different universes swirling around me was so beautiful and peaceful. It was a sharp contrast to the battle that I just finished. This sequence really reminds me of the ending of the Outer Worlds a lot, which I won't say anything more about that game, but you should definitely play it if you enjoyed Starfield. A couple things that I really loved about the ending of this game are the fact that you get to see glimpses of the world that you're leaving behind. For me, the emissary starts gathering Starborn and begins to build a new future for them, a more peaceful future. And the remaining members of Constellation publish their findings and reignite humanity's desire to explore the stars, which just really warmed my heart. I felt like I was leaving this world a better place than what I found it. And then, up until the last second you enter Unity, you have a chance to turn back, which I also found amazing. It gave players a choice, and I loved that. For me, I entered Unity and began my journey again. The New Game Plus is amazing. You are reborn as a Starborn and must once again begin your search for the artifacts. Like I said in my New Games Plus video, I think this is one of the most unique ways a game could handle a New Game Plus. For me though, I wasn't ready to really let go. So after exploring for a little bit, I reverted back to an earlier save from right before I entered Unity, so I could continue my journey. I don't know, I just wasn't ready to let go of my Constellation, to my frontier, and to my story progress. And maybe one day I'll go back and finish my 10 New Game Plus runs, but for now, I am more than happy continuing my journey before Unity. Starfield's campaign is a truly beautiful experience. Sure, maybe the story could have been better in a couple areas, maybe we could have gotten a couple more quests, but overall it was amazing. I loved the mystery of the artifacts and the Starborn, and I loved how the game presented the answers to us. I love how action-packed it was, but also that it was willing to have slow, somber moments. I loved the people at Constellation and their desire for discovery, and I loved this game's main quest. I really do think this was a masterpiece, and I think it may end up being one of my favorite games of all time. Anyway, that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Mother Goose out.